Hello students, good morning and welcome to another lecture of physics. Now if you remember in last video lecture we were discussing about errors. What are errors? The difference between the measured value and the true value is known as error. What is an error? The difference between the measured value and the correct, that is the true value, is known as error. Now error can be further classified or divided into three groups. You can say that it can be divided into two groups, right? Because the third one can be included in the first two groups, right? In that the first one is systematic error. What is systematic error? The error which tends to increase only in one direction. Which tends to move only in one direction. That is, it may be positive, then it will increase in positive direction only. If it is negative, it will increase along negative direction only. Here we have discussed what is direction, negative and positive direction, right? So we are not going to discuss right now here. Then systematic error is basically due to three parameters, you can say. Systematic error arises due to three different types of parameters. In that the first one was due to an instrument, which is known as instrumental error, right? You have to define. Suppose if in exam it is asked that write note on systematic error. Then first you have to define systematic error. That is the error which tends to move only in one direction, that is either positive or negative, is known as systematic error. Right. Now systematic error can be further classified into three groups. Or you can say that the sources of systematic errors are: number one, this error may arise due to an instrument which is known as instrumental error. Say for example, we have discussed about voltage, voltmeter, right? Suppose voltmeter has some calibration error, right? There is some error while calibrating the voltmeter. So that kind of error will be known as instrumental error. Basically, instrumental error arises due to imperfect design or calibration of the measuring instrument. Right? So this is systematic instrumental error, and that instrumental error can be removed by either changing the instrument, modifying the instrument. You can repair the instrument, or what you can do, you can find the error and add it to the correction, to the true value, add correction to the measured value, right? Say for example, you are using a weight machine which is already showing you 200 gram, right? Now if you put some object over it, then its weight is suppose 68 kg. It means that 200 gram was already extra, plus 200 gram was there, so your correction will be minus 200 gram. So the correct answer will be 67 kg 800 gram. So if there is some error and we can identify that, so while in measured value we can correct it, right? So if error is negative, you have to add it, and if error is positive, you have to subtract it from your measured value. Now the second one was imperfection, or in the technique or the procedure, right? The method which you are performing is not correct, then the error may arise. We have discussed an example about thermometer, how the thermometer must be kept in proper contact with the body and so on. So that everything you have to write. And the third one, this is error due to, and the third one this is personal error, right? Error arises due to the individual person, right? You can say the error arises on the individual biases. Say for example, let us say due to the laziness or the carelessness of a person, error may arise in the experiment, right? So that is known as personal error. By becoming more careful, more active, right, we can reduce this kind of errors. So this is systematic error, types of systematic error. The next error which we have discussed is least count error. Every instrument can measure certain minimum value only. Beyond that, it cannot measure. Say for example, our scale cannot measure a distance less than 0.1 centimeter. Right? So the least count of scale is 0.1 centimeter. So the error arises due to the least count of the instrument, because whatever value you are going to measure, that will be good enough up to that least count. Below that, it will not be able to measure. So that kind of error will be known as least count error. Least count error can be systematic or it can be random, right? So it is a part of both these kind of errors. Now the third type of error which we are going to discuss is random error. The name itself indicates random means randomly, right? So the error which is which occurs irregularly. The error which occurs irregularly or in random way is known as random error. The error which occurs irregularly is known as random error, and it is random in sign as well as size. So random error is an error which occurs irregularly as well as it is random in sign and size. What do you mean by random in sign? That is the error, this kind of error can be positive as well as negative. Remember, in systematic error, the error will be either positive or negative. It can't be both. In random error, it is quite possible that the error will be positive while measuring once, and if you measure second time, the error may be negative. So you can say that random error is different in sign. That is, random in sign. That is, it can be positive or it can be negative. Say for example, let us say here we have a window over here, right? And we are performing an experiment related to pendulum, and pendulum is oscillating here. Now suppose the window is open and a strong wind is blowing into the room. So when the pendulum is moving in this direction, suppose we want to measure the speed of pendulum for each rotation, each oscillation. So when pendulum is moving in this direction and wind is also blowing in this direction, then the speed of pendulum will increase. It will be more than the actual speed. That is, in the absence of wind, whatever we are going to get the speed, compared to that, its speed will be more. Now while it is coming back, while it is returning back, due to the wind in the opposite direction, its speed will decrease. Right? So once you are getting the value more than the actual value, and second time you are getting the value less than the actual value. So it is positive also as well as negative also. So you can say that random error is random in sign. It is random in size also. Random in size means in systematic error we have discussed that if error is 100 grams, suppose the weight machine is showing 100 gram more, then always it will show 100 gram more only. It is not going to be like once it will show 100 gram and next time it will give 150 gram more, next time it will show 200 gram more. No. If it is showing 100 gram more, then each and every time it will indicate 100 gram more only. But random error is random in size. Say for example, let us consider the same example. A pendulum is blowing, oscillating here, right? A pendulum is oscillating here and wind is blowing. Suppose for first oscillation, wind is very strong. So the speed will be, while going in this direction, speed will be more. And while coming back, speed will be quite less than the actual value. Now for second oscillation, suppose the intensity of that wind or suppose the strength of that wind decreases. Then the pendulum which is going in this direction will have a speed less than the initial one, right? And while coming back, again its speed will be, you can say that more than the initial one, right? Because while coming back, the speed was initially, the wind was very strong, right? So speed was less. Now the wind is weak, so speed will be more, right? So once the value is increasing, another time the value is decreasing, and it is also different in size. Suppose first time the speed was very fast and second time the speed is less because the wind is weak, right? So you can say that this kind of errors are known as random error, which can be positive, which can be negative. Its size may increase or decrease, so we cannot predict such error. Hence it is known as random error. Let us consider one more example for random error. Now in standard 10 you have come across Ohm's law. What is Ohm's law? Ohm's law is defined as under fixed physical condition. Most important line. Under fixed physical condition, the amount of current flowing through any conductor is directly proportional to the amount of current flowing through any conductor is directly proportional to the potential difference applied across it. That is, I is directly proportional to V, or you can say that V is directly proportional to I, which means that if you increase the voltage, current should increase by the same amount. That is the ratio of V and I. That is V by I should always remain constant. But the important line is under fixed physical condition. Say for example, due to some another factor, if the temperature changes, fixed physical condition means external parameters like temperature, pressure, everything should remain same. But suppose if you are performing an Ohm's law and suddenly the temperature rises by some amount, right? Suddenly the temperature changes, then your value will differ. The same experiment, suppose if you are performing Ohm's law at some location where temperature is, let us say, 20 degrees Celsius, and the same experiment you are performing at some another place where suppose temperature is 40 degrees Celsius, then obviously the reading of both these places will be different because temperature differs. So if there is a fluctuation in temperature, there is variation in temperature, or let us say there is a fluctuation in voltage. You might have seen that sometime during monsoon season, right? Our at home our tube lights will glow dim. That means the power is low, the voltage is low, dim power you are getting. And sometimes they may the tube light may on brighter, right? That is there is a high voltage. So there is a fluctuation in voltage also. So if there is a fluctuation in voltage, then also our calculation will change. So these fluctuation, this change in temperatures are random. That may increase or may decrease. We are not knowing. So if we are performing an experiment and this kind of external parameters like voltage, temperature changes, then an error will occur in our observation which will be random, and hence it is known as random error. Clear? So this is random error. Now this random error has random value. So how to find random error? What is the definition of an error? The difference between the measured value and the true value is known as error. Now suppose if I will give you this pen, right, and I will say you that the length of this pen is 7 centimeter. Now you measure, then how you will measure this? Obviously one of you will say that sir we will use scale. Someone may say that sir we will use vernier caliper to get more appropriate answer. But if I am telling you that the length of this pen is 7 centimeter, I have already informed you that the length of this pen is 7 centimeter, then why we should measure this? Getting idea? If length is already known, then there is no meaning to measure it, right? Why we will measure if we are already knowing this? So the problem with us is either we are not knowing the true value, and if we are knowing the true value, what is the reason behind measuring that quantity? So our definition is the difference between the true value and the measured value. But we are measuring a physical quantity because we are not knowing the true value. So how we can get the true value? So for true value, what we have to do? We have to take number of observations. That is, suppose if you want to measure the length of this pen, measure it once, twice, thrice, 10 times, 20 times. As many number of observations you can take, you must take. Suppose if I measure the length of this pen each time, you will get different answer. Right? It is not necessary that each and every time you will get same answer. Suppose you are measuring the diameter of this sphere using a screw gauge, right? Micrometer screw gauge. Then in that case, you will find that each and every time your measure value will be different. So what we have to do? Take as many number of observations as possible and take average of that. That is the arithmetic mean. In standard 10 you have learned about mean, median and mode, right? So in same way, suppose if you measure the length of this pen 20 times, then take average of that or mean of that. That will give you our true value. That measurement, the average value or the mean value will be very close to the true value, and we will consider that as our true value. Right? So for that, we have defined absolute error, fractional error, average absolute error and percentage error. So our next topic will be related to this only. That is absolute error, average absolute error, fractional error is sometimes also known as relative error, and percentage error. right? So here all these things we are going to discuss. Suppose in exam it is asked that find percentage error, then you have to calculate all these things actually, right? So we are discussing this whole as a single topic. What is absolute error? So for that, let us consider an example. Suppose we are measuring any physical quantity A n times. So the observations will be A1, A2 up to An. So let us say for any physical quantity, say A, we have defined any physical quantity as A, the measured values are A1, A2 and so on up to An. For any physical quantity, say A, the measured value are A1, A2 up to An. That is, we have measured it n times, right? Here I am not writing. For any physical quantity A which is measured n times, the measured values are A1, A2 up to An. Now after getting this value, what we have to do? We have to find the arithmetic mean. Arithmetic mean is simply mean or the average value, right? So how will you find arithmetic mean or mean or the average value? Now arithmetic mean or the average value is indicated by this sign. This we will read as average value of A. This can be read as average value of A, or you were writing A bar. If you remember in standard 10, you were writing mean value as bar. So we have value A, so mean value will be A bar. Will be equal to, now how you can take mean of any number? Suppose we are measuring a physical quantity 3 times. Let us say 4, first time the answer is 4, the second time the answer is 5 and the next time is 6. Now how will you find mean? For mean what we have to do? 4 plus 5 plus 6 divide by 3 because we have measured 3 times. Right. So in the same way, here we want to find mean. So A bar will be equal to A1 plus A2 plus up to An whole over n. Why whole over n? Because we have measured physical quantity n times. So divide by n, and this will be our average value or the mean value. This is known as average value or the mean value. Now for absolute error, what we have to do? What is absolute average? Absolute error. Absolute error is defined as the difference of each individual measurement or measured value and the mean value is known as absolute error. What is absolute error? The difference between the individual reading, each measured value and the average value is known as absolute error. Suppose we have measured a physical quantity 3 times and the values are 4, 5 and 6. Let us take average for this. So 4 plus 5 plus 6, that is 15, divide by 3. So 15 divided by 3 will be 5. So our average value is 5, right? And our individual readings are 4, 5 and 6. So what we have to do for absolute error, we have to subtract the mean value from the individual readings. So first one was 4 and the average is 5, so 4 minus 5. Second one was 5, so 5 minus 5. And the third reading was 6, so 6 minus 5. So these values will be known as absolute errors, difference, right? So here the difference between each individual measurement or measured value and the mean value is known as absolute error. That is, in this case, we can say that absolute error delta A1. For absolute error, we are indicating or we are using symbol delta A1. So delta A1 will be A1 minus A bar. Remember our first reading is A1 and the mean value is A bar. So A1 minus A bar will be our absolute error. Clear? Now let us say in the same way what will be delta A2? A2 minus A bar. And so on. We can say that delta AN will be equal to AN minus A bar. So here delta A1, delta A2, delta A3 all are known as absolute error. Right? Delta A1, delta A2, delta A3 and so on will be known as absolute error. So this is our absolute error. The next is average absolute error. The name itself indicates that average absolute error means average of all the absolute errors. Now remember, here the answer may be negative or positive. Say for example, in our previous discussion where we have taken example for 4, 5 and 6. The values are 4, 5 and 6. So 4 minus 5 will be minus 1. 5 minus 5 will be 0. And 6 minus 5 will be 1. So your answer may be negative, may be positive. But remember, absolute error we should always consider as positive. Absolute error must always be taken as positive. Negative values we will not consider. Means if you are getting negative, you will consider it as positive by taking magnitude of that value. Suppose 4 minus 5, you are getting answer minus 1. So we will consider it as magnitude of minus 1, which is equal to plus 1. Right? So absolute error will always be positive only. Now for average absolute error, what we have to do? We have to take average of all these values, right? So average absolute error. Here we will discuss about absolute error, right? So average absolute error is the average of absolute error. That is, its symbol will be delta A bar. The symbol for average absolute error will be delta A bar, and delta A bar will be magnitude of delta A1 plus magnitude of delta A2 plus up to plus magnitude of delta AN whole over n. So this will be our average absolute error, where we are going to find the average of absolute error. That is magnitude of delta A1 plus magnitude of delta A2 and so on, plus magnitude of delta AN whole over n. Why we have taken here magnitude? Because absolute error is always positive, but your answer may be negative or positive, or it may come 0, right? But for negative value we have to consider it as positive, and that's why we have taken here magnitude. This is our average absolute error. So all the measure values will lie between A bar plus or minus delta A bar. Means all the measured value, that individual values which we have calculated, will lie between A bar plus or minus delta A bar. That is between A bar plus delta A bar and A bar minus delta A bar. This will be the range. You can say that your measure value will lie between these two only. On an average, the measure value may lie between A bar plus delta A bar and A bar minus delta A bar. This will be our average absolute error. Right. Now the next is fractional error, which is also known as relative error. Right. So what do you mean by fractional error? Fraction of second. That is, you know that what is fractional error, right? So the next one is fractional error. Now what do you mean by fractional error? The symbol for fractional error is delta A. Right? This is also delta. Confusion. So this is also delta. You are saying that this is also delta and this is also delta. Yes, both are delta, right? It's quite simple. Suppose if I ask you what is this, you will say sir B. Right? What is this? You will say capital B. So this is capital B, this is small b. In the same way, this is capital delta and that is small delta, right? So these both symbols indicate delta only. One is capital delta, while the another one is small delta. So fractional error delta A is defined as the ratio of average absolute error, that is delta A bar, to the mean value is known as fractional error. The ratio of average absolute error, the ratio of average absolute error to the mean value, right, is known as fractional error. So this will be our fractional error. Delta A is equal to delta A bar over A bar. And the last one is percentage error. The last one is percentage error. So what do you mean by percentage error? So percentage error is quite simple. What you have to do, it is symbol is delta A in percentage. So if you want to convert any number into percentage, any fraction into percentage, if you want to convert any fraction into percentage, you have to just multiply it by 100. So this will be our percentage error. So percentage error will be fraction error into 100 percentage. That will be our percentage error. Quite simple and most important in case quite simple but most important for solving examples, right? Important from exam point of view, right? It is quite possible that a 3 mark or 4 mark example can be asked based on this, that find the percentage error for a given measured value, right? So let us quickly revise this what we have done today, right? So first of all, in today's video lecture we have discussed about random error. What do you mean by random error? The error which is random, that is in irregular way. The error which occurs irregularly or in an irregular way is known as random error. Now random error is random in case of size as well as sign. It is random, it can be positive as well as negative. In case of sign you can say, and in case of size means its value may differ in each calculation, right? Then we have discussed about absolute error, average absolute error, fractional error which is also known as relative error, and percentage error. This is an important one. In next lecture we are going to solve example based on this, right? So just concentrate what we have done. We are going to quickly revise this what we have done in this case. Say for example what we have to do, for any physical quantities measured values will be given. Say for example in standard 10 you have come across refractive index of a given material, right? Let us say for a glass slab we have calculated refractive index 5 times and we got 5 different values, 1.51, 1.53, 1.48, something like that, 5 different values, right? Then what you have to do, the first step is to find the mean of all these values. So how we will find mean? So for mean what we are going to do, we are going to add all those 5 values, divide by 5. We are going to add all those 5 values and then divide by 5. So that will be our mean value. After that we have to find absolute error, right? This mean value can be considered as our true value, right? Because we are not knowing the true value. So what we will do, we will take as many observations as possible and then we'll find its arithmetic mean value, or you can say that average value, and that average value will be our true value, right? Then we have to find absolute error. So for absolute error what we are going to do, we are going to take the difference of each individual measurement and the mean value. That is, suppose our first measurement was 1.51 and our mean value is 1.5, then 1.51 minus 1.5. So each individual reading minus average value, A1 minus A bar, A2 minus A bar, A3 minus A bar, and so on, AN minus A bar. This is our absolute error, right? Remember, absolute error can be positive and negative in this calculation, but we have to consider absolute error only positive, so we will neglect the negative sign. Suppose your answer is minus 0.01, then you should consider it as plus 0.01 by neglecting the negative sign, because it is the difference between the measured value and the true value. The difference, right? Then we have to find average absolute error. So how you can find average absolute error? The name itself indicates average of absolute error is average absolute error. So we will take average of all this value, but remember in mind that we have to but keep in mind that we have to take average value positively, right? Absolute error positively. But keep this in mind that the absolute error should always be positive. So we will take all this measurement in magnitude, right? So you can say that average absolute error delta A bar will be equal to delta A1 in magnitude plus delta A2 in magnitude plus so on magnitude of delta AN whole over n. Now all the measured value will lie between that A bar plus or minus delta A bar, right? This will be our all individual readings will be lying between this and this, that is A bar plus delta A bar and A bar minus delta A bar, between A bar plus delta A bar and A bar minus delta A bar. Means whatever we have calculated or whatever we have measured the given physical quantity, the values of the measured physical quantity will be lying between A bar plus delta A bar and A bar minus delta A bar. The next is fractional error. What do we mean by fractional error? Fractional error means the error which is defined as fractional error is defined as the ratio of average absolute error to the mean value. So fractional error delta A which will be equal to delta A bar over A bar. That is average absolute error over mean value is our fractional error. And the last one is percentage error. So delta A in percentage, that is if you want to convert fractional error into percentage error, you have to just multiply it by 100. So delta A in percentage will be equal to delta A bar over A bar into 100%. Here, so this is how you have to write. Suppose in exam it is asked that write a note on absolute error, average absolute error, fractional error and percentage error. Then you have to start from the definition of error. What do you mean by error? Then from here till here, right? And you have to define it. Now in next video lecture we are going to solve example based on this concept, right? So what I want is you have to go through this concept, right? Prepare it well and keep in mind the value for each type of error. Say for example it is asked that find absolute error, average absolute error. Then for average absolute error, the formula will be delta A bar will be equal to magnitude of delta A1 plus magnitude of delta A2 and so on divided by the total number of observations. So that you should know, right? So based on this concept, we are going to solve few examples in our next video lecture. So prepare this topic, prepare well, read it and keep on writing. Thank you.